The Grateful Dead were an iconic band. Their imagery of skeletons, roses, and dancing bears is instantly recognizable. They were known for their spacey sound, characterized by lengthy, improvisational instrumentals, and the culture of psychedelic drugs that went along with it. The Dead were incredibly popular in a paradoxical way. They weren't like most popular bands, where the average person may know a song or two. This was because their long-winded, jam band identity did not mesh with the recipe for radio success, which in the days before the internet was how most everyone discovered new music. Despite selling a whopping 35 million records and releasing an astonishing 167 full-length live albums, the Grateful Dead had a grand total of one top 40 Billboard track, Touch of Grey, released in 1987. So stories of the band traveled through word of mouth, gospel, spread by the Deadheads, their devoted followers who were a subculture unto themselves. But as many devoted fans the Grateful Dead may have, there are also some haters out there. Who knows what their problem is? Maybe they're too tightly strung and can't grasp the concept of simply chilling. Odds are, they were the people reminding the teacher that they forgot to collect the homework. They claim that the band's beautiful musical improvisation is nothing more than drugged-out hippies noodling aimlessly. Bolder still, some contend that the members of the Grateful Dead were not good musicians, as if touring almost constantly for 3 decades wouldn't be enough practice to make one a good musician. But I'm getting ahead of myself. And as a recently converted Deadhead, I get it. Putting on the 15-minute rendition of Fire on the Mountain from their legendary Cornell 77 live album, as breathtaking as I might find it, will not make you the most popular guy in a party. And before I saw the light, I couldn't understand for the life of me why the Grateful Dead seemed to be the only music my mom would want to listen to. So this one is for you, haters, because I'm determined to change your mind and open your eyes and your ears. You're missing out on some seriously good tunes here. It's a given that art, including music, is subjective. There is no objective way to say, for instance, that Mozart is overrated. That's just an opinion. However, for the sake of conversation, there are some factors we can examine when evaluating musical acts. An important one is longevity. A hallmark of a quote-unquote good band or artist is the ability to have consistent success while evolving their sound, so they aren't just replicating a greatest hits album night after night. And by this metric, the Grateful Dead weren't just good, they were incredible. They toured almost constantly from their founding in 1965 to the death of frontman Jerry Garcia in 1995. In those 30 years, they traversed the country and the world, and their catalog was constantly changing. On a given tour, the Dead would play shows 2, 3, or even 4 nights in a row at the same venue, with a different set list every time, and each show spanning around 3 hours. And over time, songs would come and go, evolve, and change. Take, for example, one of my favorite staples of Dead shows, The Other One. This tune was originally called That's It for the Other One, and appeared as a 4-part suite spanning about 7 minutes on their 1968 album, Anthem of the Sun. This song was an ode to Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters, a group of artistically minded weirdos, and I mean that affectionately, who were early friends of the Dead and sought to create art out of everyday life, aided by copious amounts of LSD. You might know Kesey from his debut novel, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, based on his experience with Project MK which piqued a lifelong interest in psychedelic drugs. What you're seeing now is footage from Kesey and the Pranksters' film Magic Trip, in which they drove a wildly painted school bus across the country and filmed most everything they did. But I digress. Back to The Other One. By 1971, judging from the Grateful Dead's live album that year, known as Skull and Roses, the song had morphed wildly. The mellow beginning sung by Jerry Garcia had become its own song, titled Cryptical Envelopment. And instead of transitioning directly into the second part, sung by Bobby Weir, a drum solo of about 5 minutes was added. It was only after the drum solo that we arrived at the legendary bass lick by Phil Lesh that announced the arrival of The Other One, which now lasted roughly 15 minutes in concert. The lyrics are full of psychedelic pictures, but it's the rhythm section that truly makes the song special. Syncopated bass lines combined with two drummers working together to create a groovy, somewhat eerie sound. Here, listen for yourself.
Escaping through the lily fields, I came across an empty space. It trembled and exploded, like the bus stop in its place. The bus come by and I got on, that's when it all began. There was Cowboy Neal at the wheel, the bus to Neverland. Coming around.
I want to show you another example of how the Grateful Dead's music evolved over time. But unlike my previous example, this is over the span of nearly 50 years, not 3. Earlier this year, Bobby Weir played a series of shows at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. with the National Symphony Orchestra. Weir is an octogenarian now, but he stays busy, touring with his band Wolf Bros, as well as Dead & Company, a continuation of the Grateful Dead made up of many of its surviving members. His shows at the Kennedy Center were chock full of Dead classics, and the accompanying orchestra really reveals how rich and deep their music is. First, I'm going to play a rendition of Shakedown Street from the Grateful Dead show at Radio City Music Hall on October 30th, 1980. And then I'll play the same song as performed by Weir and the National Symphony Orchestra on October 6th, 2022.
Used to
Is it a little weird to see a band, once deemed untasteful because of their association with drugs, playing in the Kennedy Center, a venue in the nation's capital usually reserved for highfalutin performances like ballet or opera? Yes. Does it bring a smile to my face? Yes. Because even though the Grateful Dead have finally been welcomed into the halls of critically acclaimed musicianship, they never sold out. They were born from the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood of San Francisco, where radical left-wing politics mingled with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They carried these anti-materialist, communal values with them as they toured constantly. Though every concert was sold out, they never amassed vast fortunes like most wildly successful bands. The Grateful Dead financially supported a wide cast of crew, partners, and hangers-on because they never forgot where they came from. Not to mention the high cost of lengthy recording sessions, transporting a lot of equipment, and so on. They went all the way to Egypt to play a show next to the Giza pyramids during a lunar eclipse, just to create an amazing experience for live music. So when I view the career of the Grateful Dead from my perspective, I see an immensely talented cast of colorful individuals who more than anything else loved music and wanted to spread it freely. I doubt this video was enough to change the mind of a Dead hater, but hopefully I inspired you to at least give them a second chance.